Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months.
Yo, what up, Bolt fam? It's the director. Chargers fans, well, what can I say? that game blew. Now, of course, before we do jump into everything, a small update for everybody. Of course, you guys know we did not have a live stream for this game because we had to take Mrs. Director to the ER. Update on that, she is just fine, okay? It was a long day, it was a stressful day, but shout out to the medical professionals who got her sorted very, very quickly, and thank you to everybody on Twitter and Instagram, etc., that gave your positive vibes and love to Mrs. Director. She's doing just fine now. She's bounced completely back, so again, thank you guys for that. Secondly, before we get into this kind of, plane crash of an experience, because yes, I did go back and I watched it. I have some notes I want to go over with you guys. You guys might notice that we are sporting the number 50. The number 50 in today's video, and that is for my guy Manti Te'o. Now, if you guys haven't checked out on Netflix, it's a series called Untold, I do believe. There is a fantastic documentary on Manti Te'o that, if you're a Chargers fan, a Fighting Irish fan, a general football fan, it is definitely worth checking out, man. I think us collectively as an internet culture, we owe Manti Te'o an apology. And I think it's absolutely something that I wanted to talk about and, at the very least, sport the number and bring awareness to the documentary for all Chargers fans, because it's definitely one worth watching. So Manti Te'o, thank you for sharing your story with us, and thank you for sharing your emotions and reliving everything to give us a clearer picture of what was going on. As for the game, we got some things to discuss. Now, it's not all terrible. It's not all bad. We have some updates and stuff as well in terms of like injury and things like that. But we're just going to kind of go over the things that I noticed upon rewatching it a couple of times. Some of the good, mostly bad, and things that the Chargers need to try and clean up before kickoff coming up in just a few weeks, guys. The Chargers season's just around the corner. Before we do kickoff in this video, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot, as well as question in the comments like we always do. What is your biggest concern entering into week 3 of the preseason? Let me know in the comment section below. With that, let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action! The Chargers versus Cowboys, Turpin trouble post-game report. Now, before we jump into the game, a couple of updates in terms of injuries for the team, okay? We got, first off, the good news, right? Kenneth Murray is back. I know there's not a ton of people that might be, I don't know, as optimistic as I am in terms of his bounce back season after last year. Again, last season, man, tons of stuff out of his control. I do believe that Kenneth Murray, in my humble opinion, is due for a nice bounce back this year, and obviously we are all rooting for the guy. So Kenneth Murray, he had off-season surgery. He should be back at practice as of today. Outside of that, we got a couple of things maybe a little bit more concerning as to, some of the immediate players that should be contributing this season, starting with Isaiah Spiller, okay? Isaiah Spiller went out with an ankle injury in this game versus the Dallas Cowboys. At first, it really seemed like nothing too serious, might be an ankle sprain. Last we heard from Brandon Staley, he's going to remain out with an ankle injury, not going to be participating in the game on Friday versus the New Orleans Saints. And there is a chance, again, there's a chance that he could miss the season opener. And that, of course, is kind of a bummer. I think more along in the terms of I wanted to see him play a little bit more in the preseason, give us a nice sample size of what he's going to bring to the table during the regular season. But it is what it is. Brandon Staley, very cautious with injuries. Again, I wouldn't expect to see him until at the very earliest the season opener. And then finally, we got Josh Palmer. Oh, I know it's going to be a lot of groans and moans in the comment section. He is out in concussion protocol right now. Do not expect to see him on Friday. I think there's a good chance that he returns week 1, but he had one pretty spectacular catch where I think we can kind of pinpoint when that, concussion happened. Better safe than sorry when it comes to these sorts of things. So that's kind of your update for right now. Haven't heard much on Donald Palmer or the other guys right now, but Josh Palmer, Isaiah Spiller, the guys that you want to monitor, and then good to have Kenneth Murray back at practice. All right, so let's start about let's talk about this Cowboys-Chargers game. Some of the things we loved first, okay? Because we got a pretty lengthy list as to the things that the Chargers need to work on. Let's start off with Mr. Josh Palmer, okay? Josh Palmer has arrived. And if you guys watched my pregame video, the preview for this game, but Palmer was definitely my choice for the guy to watch in terms of he's going to wow people in this game. And it was all because the week previous, he had a whole bunch of targets. And again, the first live action football, the first, full-paced game from Chase Daniel. And those were pretty poor quality targets. Despite his effort to get open and become available to the quarterback, there just weren't good targets. We really didn't get to see the numbers display his talent on the field. In this game, though, Josh Palmer getting some reps with Easton Stick, which, of course, there's going to be debate who's better, Easton Stick, Chase Daniel. I do feel like we finally got to see that in this game. Unfortunately, of course, we got the concussion to worry about now, but you really got to see the upside of Josh Palmer in this game. And as I've mentioned before, a big thing that's starting to become evident every time I see Josh Palmer, step onto the field, in practice, whatever, it really does feel like there is a spider right there in my face. I'm going to grab that real quick. That is freaky. Doesn't help that I just watched the thing last night. Okay, where were we? Okay, Josh Palmer and his route running ability. Every time I see him step onto the field, he reminds me more and more of Keenan Allen. And it's very evident that he's spending time with Keenan and observing and learning from the talent that Keenan's been providing the Chargers for so many years. That's insane, man. To even think that there was one play in practice, I would say with the joint practice with the Cowboys, where I thought it was Keenan Allen running that route. No, it was Josh Palmer. And he put that on display this week versus the Cowboys in this preseason game. But there's another element to his game that might be getting overlooked. And I think it's something that's extremely underrated. And it's his contested catch ability, much like a Mike Williams. One of his biggest plays of the night came on a reception on the sideline, just a straight, whatever. He goes up there against double coverage, nonetheless. I'm pretty sure there's one guy stuck on him, another guy got the safety closing in on him, comes down with an insane catch. And I do think that's where the concussion happened. If you guys watched that play, did hit his head pretty hard, but still the ability to body out a defender with the defender literally in his face, you maybe could have called PI in that play, was insane. So the route running, the mitts, the catching, the spectacular catching, absolutely insane. So we got ourselves a pretty nice player in Josh Palmer. Wide receiver 3 has really turned into a legitimate threat. Maybe with superstar upside for the Chargers going forward, I think Josh Palmer is going to develop into something very special, in the years to come here. And of course, we have to mention his scoring play on a wide receiver screen. Very, very impressive. One thing that you really need from your players in particular to make that a successful play is the burst from your wide receiver. And although Josh Palmer, not really much known for his speed, he did go out there and show us that he's got that nice burst right off the line, right? And it was really, really nice to see that play develop into a score. That is what you're looking for from a guy like Josh Palmer. So, of course, we're hoping that he gets out of concussion protocol very soon. But he's one with the, all the upside in the world to make a big impact for this team this season. Now, let's talk about the other wide receiver that's been standing out these past couple of weeks, and Michael Bandy. In my opinion, at this point, Michael Bandy's uncuttable. Don't even think about it, Chargers. At this point, with what we've seen, a team that's so good at identifying and finding and discovering these gems that are undrafted, you got to make room for him, man. And, of course, there's the debate of, the 3 quarterback thing going on right now. It seems like the Chargers almost confirmed that we're keeping 3 quarterbacks this season. I really hope that if the Chargers decide to do that, they find room elsewhere on the roster to make sure Michael Bandy stays with the team, especially right now that we've kind of gotten our first taste of, having to stretch into that wide receiver depth with Josh Palmer entering concussion protocol. Having a guy like Michael Bandy, I think, is very important. And it's not just because of what, he provides as a depth player, but what he provides as a player entirely, right? He continues to make huge plays. He looks like the budget Wes Welker out there. All he does is get open, make himself available to the quarterback. There's a reason why quarterbacks love throwing to this guy, is because he's always making himself available. And not just becoming available, but coming down with a catch, great hands, right? And then trying to generate whatever he can after the catch. It really seems like the angles that he chooses, the route running being so smooth, he's going to be one of those guys that we are going to regret cutting if he doesn't make the 53. And he's going to get scooped up off waivers immediately if we decide not to add him to the roster. So at this point, I think Michael Bandy, you got to make sure that you find a spot, you find some room. If you roster 4 quarterbacks, roster 2 quarterbacks, whatever, make room for Michael Bandy, because at this point he's got to make the roster. Okay. Another thing I really love from this game, the edge depth has leveled up, has it not? We've seen some big things from Chris Rumph over the last couple of weeks. He did it again versus the Cowboys, man. He has been all over the field. He's been fantastic. Doesn't matter if it's a run or pass. He's been a huge impact for this team the last couple of weeks. And you know what? Rumph, he brings me a lot of ease of mind when it comes to the backup edge position, because as you guys will recall, back during the draft, edge 3 was kind of position we were hoping to address either in, free agency or in the draft. And it's because, we've got these great starters, but we wanted guys behind them that could hold their own. And we kind of knew that Rumph had a tough rookie season. We wanted another guy in there. We ended up getting, Kyle Van Noy, who we assumed was going to be edge 3, and he still can be in some ways, but now he's playing more of a predominant role at inside linebacker. Rumph has really brought a lot of ease of mind from that, and he's been looking fantastic. He looks like a quality backup to either Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack. Additionally, you had guys like Carlo Kemp. Right, Kemp, dude, that dude was everywhere as well. I think he had a pass deflected. He was all over the run. Carlo Kemp, I should say. Very, very nice pickup for the Chargers this offseason. Additionally, we also have to talk about Jamal Davis, who is looking very, very solid. I think among the backups outside of, Chris Rumph, Jamal Davis might be one of those guys that feels a little safer because of his ability to secure tackles. The dude looks very, very nice, especially versus the run where the Chargers needed the most help. So I think, it's going to be a battle who grabs that other backup spot behind, our starting edge players. I think Chris Rumph pretty much secured himself as the other one. Now it's going to be a battle between Ty Shelby, Carlo Kemp, Jamal Davis for the other spot. So it's looking pretty good out there when it comes to edge. And then finally, the last, we'll say, highlight of this game, the positives of this game are signs of life on the offensive line. Now, in my first, let's say, watching of the replays or the highlight, not even the highlights, if you guys go on NFL Game Pass, they have these condensed games. You can watch the whole thing in like 30 or 40 minutes. In my first watch of that, didn't really pay much attention to the offensive line. But upon my second replay, I did notice that there is a bit of separation finally coming in terms of, Trey Pipkins or Storm Norton, okay? Storm Norton, to me, obviously struggled pretty bad in this game, okay? I feel like he started off okay, and then he started allowing pressures and collapsing and progressively becoming worse and worse and worse. It's almost like that knife was driving in, a little bit deeper with every snap. And unfortunately for Norton, I think that this is the first time via, preseason and training camp and all that kind of stuff that I'm starting to see the line in the sand being drawn. Because Trey Pipkins went out there and he was okay, despite all of the problems that the Chargers had in offense. The run game just really couldn't get off the ground. It really did feel like Trey Pipkins held his own, finally shining, or at least flashing the upside that we were hoping to see from him this offseason. I'm really crossing my fingers, guys, that this is a sign of things to come. That Trey Pipkins finally has it figured out. We start to see that upside, and again, we're not looking for him to be, like a Lane Johnson out there, right? Or one of the best right tackles in the league. We're just looking for him to be serviceable. And what I saw, again, upon that second replay was a serviceable right tackle. Now, of course, you're going up against the depth pieces of the Cowboys. If he was consistently going up against, DeMarcus Lawrence or Micah Parsons, it would have been a much different story. But as of right now, the needle has moved just a little bit. Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel, like we're set at the position of right tackle? No, not at all. I think there's things that the Chargers can still do to improve that position. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But as far as some separation being noticed, Trey Pipkins has pulled ahead for me at least, okay? Additionally, on that offensive line, man, dudes, if there was a highlight to take from this game that maybe went under the radar, because again, it goes overlooked quite easily, the offensive line, the play from those positions. But Zion Johnson, man, Zion Johnson looked absolutely fantastic. The anchor, the power, the force that we're getting from these guards has been something to note. And it's something that really does, I would also say, add another tick mark against the running backs in this game, because they really struggled to perform despite some obvious, pretty good, opportunities provided by these guards. Zion Johnson is looking like the real deal. We said the same thing last week versus, the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to say it again. Zion Johnson has the upside of, all-pro starting his rookie season. He's looking absolutely great. And again, the Chargers offensive line is starting to really form into something special. If we can figure out that right tackle position, I think we're looking really solid for the year. And to wrap up the offensive line, Jamari Sawyer, dude. This man, for what, a 6th-round pick, is looking absurdly polished. Jamari Sawyer, again, just his size alone on that offensive line is creating issues for the opposing defense, right? And on top of that, his technique, I feel like his movement, it just feels like once again, we've been proven in the value we got in Jamari Sawyer falling so far in the draft. This dude, in my opinion, could start today. Could start now. At the very worst, the Chargers do have some quality depth at guard. But my oh my, Jamari Sawyer, and again, it's up against the backups, but I don't care, man. Jamari Sawyer and his upside in his rookie season is as high as ever in my book. And I really do feel like it opens up options. I hate being the guy who keeps singing the same tune or whatever, but with the more I see Jamari Sawyer in practice, in this joint practice with the Cowboys in this game, the more I feel like he's earned my trust in some ways. I want to see more reps, obviously, but he looks great. He looks fantastic. He's got, I would say, starter upside this season. And it's impossible to think that without noting what the Chargers can do right now to fix this offensive line. And that's giving Jamari Sawyer a shot at starting guard and moving Matt Filer to right tackle. I don't think you can consider this last season because who do we have behind him? Brendan Hymus, who, of course, I'm very high on. That doesn't matter. He's unproven. Jamari Sawyer is starting to get a little bit more proven every single week, and that does open up the possibility of maybe move Matt Filer. Convert Trey Pipkins to swing tackle. At worst, he's a quality swing tackle, right? You've got a proven right tackle in Matt Filer, and now a slowly and progressively proven Jamari Sawyer at guard. It just feels like that's the most complete version we have of this line in terms of who we have on the roster right now. I don't know. Again, sorry for singing the same song here, but I just, every day I see Jamari Sawyer improve his worth and his value, the more that scenario keeps popping up in my mind. So you guys let me know there. All right. We got to get into the bad now, guys. I'm going to try and not spend too much time because a lot of it is super obvious, but it's very important to talk about because these are the valuable, weeks and days ahead of the regular season that you have to sort these things out. And we're going to start off with the obvious in the special teams. And again, won't spend an absurd amount of time on it because it's super obvious what happened. But at the same time, we got to get these things sorted out. Now, 1 touchdown allowed via your special teams is bad. That's going to get your coach pretty furious. But 2 is absolutely unacceptable. And the biggest thing that kind of, grinds my gears with this whole special teams issue is that this special teams was provided some quality time to get down the field and find angles by J.K. Scott, the punter. J.K. Scott is one of those guys that has really shined this offseason and becoming of value. Like, oh my goodness, we found a gem in J.K. Scott. The hang time, the distance, it's been fantastic. The time and the quality of punts that he's providing is top-notch, right? Top-notch. And despite this, the special teams could not find a way to stop this Turpin guy out of the USFL from scoring twice. No one could find an angle. The tackling is especially concerning. It's pretty bad. There's a couple names you can throw out there. Dean Leonard, of course, struggled again. I don't know what his status is going to be with the team going forward. I think he still makes the roster because of his upside, and he's a rookie, but we got to see something in week 3. Like, this is go time, man. It's crunch time. You got to find some way to impress us in week 3 because right now we're all a little jittery. Okay? JT Woods, despite some good efforts, also struggled a little bit. Just special teams all around, very, very bad. Good for J.K. Scott and his improvement and him shining, but the special teams unit has got to find a way to capitalize on the time they have to get down the field and the distance that they're starting from. That, to me, is what makes me the most upset. And it was very obvious that Brandon Staley was also upset after the game as well. You guys watched that presser after? Ooh, that's rough. That's when you really upset teacher, right? Basically what he said, in layman's terms, is directed at the special team. Get it done, or we're going to find somebody who can. Okay, he said that the whole NFL is watching what's going on, and vice versa. They're watching the whole NFL. There are guys available that they can bring in. If they feel that these guys can't get the job done, they're going to bring somebody else in who they have more faith in, which is, honestly, I don't know. It's rough. It's tough. But at the same time, I kind of like that. Because it's either going to light a fire under these guys' butts to really figure out a way to polish things up, or the Chargers may take action and try and improve it immediately, because this cannot happen again. Good for Turpin, I think that's his name, for making something of himself after coming in from the USFL. But man, the Chargers, you got to figure that out. Next up, another thing of concern for me was the running backs. The running backs took a step back, and I think the biggest thing that to kind of point out in this is that Isaiah Spiller only saw 3 carries, and then he had to, of course, step off the field with the ankle injury. He's still my running back, too. I feel like if we saw more from him, maybe we're a little bit less concerned about the running back position as a whole. But outside of that, man, every running back that got handed the ball did not perform on Saturday. You got one nice run from Joshua Kelly. Outside of that, it was pretty bad, right? It was pretty bad. And the Chargers, this is one of those, things that they were very concerned about this offseason. They got to get Austin Eckler some help. And again, I still do feel very confident that Isaiah Spiller is going to be the guy. His availability week 1, we don't know. So it's going to fall on one of these other guys. Josh Kelly right now still seems like the safe bet for running back 3. And then, of course, you got Xander Horvath, who I feel like is maybe the next best back on this team. I still feel okay about it, but you got to put up the numbers, especially when you're getting such quality help from Zion Johnson, Jamari Sawyer on that line. When you're going up against the backups, you guys got to put up the numbers. So just keep an eye on the running back position. That's definitely one to monitor as we're getting closer and closer to regular season. The Chargers are going to have to get this roster down to 53 really quick. All right. And lastly, second to lastly, I should say, a big element of the Chargers season, in my opinion, is going to be momentum. So this segment called Protect Your Momentum. This was the beginning of the end for the Chargers in this game. The Chargers have the personnel to make something happen this year, but you've got to protect the momentum. You've got to figure out ways to provide momentum and then protect it. Special teams can either boost your momentum greatly, or it can completely stifle it out. And that's what we saw in this game. Special teams is as important as any other unit. Momentum is going to be the most important factor for a lot of games in the Chargers this year. And starting the game with the pick definitely didn't help things out. Then we saw the punt return for a touchdown. Ouch. We saw the fumble. Ouch. We saw a touchdown with seconds left in the first half. Ouch. The kick return touchdown. Ouch. All of these killed the game before the second half even began. Going down from what? We were down 5 in the final minutes of the first half. We were down 5, and then all of a sudden, within 2 minutes, we're down 19. I feel like that's unrecoverable. And these are the kind of situations that you can put your team in if special teams isn't up to par. I'm sure, our special teams coordinator is just, turning and tossing in bed. Like he's got to sort this thing out, man. We might see some moves this week in terms of personnel. We might see some things change in who's getting these special teams looks, because what we saw was pretty bad. So you got to protect that momentum. That was a great example of it. That's why I wanted to point it out. To help wrap up this video, the last thing is our cut watch. Our cut watch is basically the players that I feel like are on the line right now, and as the Chargers need to trim the roster down as we get closer to kickoff, these are the kind of guys that I'm sort of looking at as eligible to be covered the bolt. Storm Norton's probably the biggest one right now. He really, really did struggle. And of course, if the Chargers decide to bring in another body, I think Storm Norton is one of those immediate guys that's in a threat. Larry Roundtree that you're seeing here on the screen right now, the Chargers running backs, they got to make room somewhere. Roundtree, Letty Brown looked okay, right? Kevin Marks, these guys are definitely on that line. Joe Reed, especially with another great performance by Michael Bandy. He could be a cut guy here pretty soon. Brandon Sebastian, who struggled pretty mightily, is definitely a cut candidate. Zach Bailey, I think he was stepping in at left tackle for this game. He looked really lost. And then Dean Leonard. Dean Leonard to me is probably no. I think Dean Leonard, again, being a rookie, I think there's still time, right? So he's not quite on my cut watch yet, but those are the kind of guys I would say to look out for. Now, to answer my own question I had at the top of the video, what am I most concerned about going into preseason week 3 of the preseason? It's going to be still right tackle. I still need to see more from Trey Pipkins. I want to see some. I want to see them experiment, man. Just see what it looks like. See what it looks like with Matt Filer on the right side, Jamari Sawyer in a guard. Just please, just humor us. Humor us. And then, of course, special teams is now definitely catapulted up the list in terms of their quality of play. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to walk away from this video with, which is going to be the most important thing that I've said this entire, 25 minutes. This is the preseason, all right? Don't panic. These are your practice games. These are the trial runs, right? These games do not count. And from the Chargers special teamers that we saw out there, a lot of those guys, going out there kind of proving if they're a right fit, if they're not, if they're just trying to see if their value is carried through special teams, if they're more of a cut candidate. That's likely what we saw on Saturday. And the Chargers are going to look like a vastly different team with the starters on the field. Do not panic. It's preseason. Of course it was ugly. Of course you want to get the win despite it being preseason. Of course you want to see better upside from the depth positions. It's preseason. Do not panic. It's all right. Okay? We'll see some more in preseason week 3. But the most important thing is going to be, who makes the roster, who gets cut, who's providing quality depth. Because in the end, the Chargers do have very good depth pieces on this team. In the end, we've got some great standout players all over the place, right? Jasir Taylor, Michael Davis, who looked pretty good in this game, right? We got great edge position players all over the field. We got great positions as far as the defensive line, as far as your depth is concerned. The linebackers, Troy Reader's been looking great, right? It just feels like we got quality depth all over the roster. Don't let a game like this and the huge struggles outside of what's already really nice depth deter you from your optimism for the Bolts. It's just a preseason game, all right? We can all breathe. It'll be fine. If this happens again in the week 1, then yeah, we can all start panicking. But till then, the team is still looking as good as it did week 1, even in the first couple of days of training camp. We look great, so don't worry too much about it yet, all right? Well, guys, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of this game, some of your biggest concerns, the things that you hope that the Chargers focus on in improving, and also let me know if you guys did enjoy this content. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you guys again so much for all your love and your support and your thoughts with our situation on Saturday. Definitely stressful, but we got through it, and definitely check out that Manti Te'o documentary. Very, very worth watching for all Chargers fans. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty. We love you, Manti Te'o, and again, collectively, we're sorry.